3, 2, 1.
Here we go! Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the HerdU podcast. I'm Tessa.
And I'm Adam.
And we are so glad you are here. So, Adam, how's your week going?
It's going good. Busy week.
Listen, you've had a pretty good week. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to ask you to share anything, but it's been a good week for you and your family.
Sure. Yeah.
So I went back and I was watching last week's podcast and I asked you that and you kind of looked at me and you're like, it's good. And I knew it wasn't a good week for you, but you're like, it's good. And it kind of got me thinking of like how often we do that with people, like just real, it's okay. So we don't have to, obviously we wouldn't talk about that kind of stuff on the podcast, but I was like, I knew he wasn't having a good week, and he was like, it's good. So anyway.
Sometimes you just got to speak it out, speak the positive.
Yeah, for sure.
And manifest it. But it definitely, this week is definitely a good week. We've had an amazing week. So it's great.
Awesome. So I have a funny story to share with you. So last week I talked a little bit about Kyler, right? And so we were under the impression he was not going to try out for basketball. And at this point, I still don't know if he made the basketball team. Okay. So we're sitting there I say we, it was only me. Like, I don't have multiple people. Oh, I still have my ID on. Let me take that off. So anyway, I was sitting there and I get a text at like 10:30 and he's like, hey mom, I think I'm going to try out for basketball. And I'm thinking, this is how I sent it to him. What? Why? When? How and why? Like, pink, 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 pink. Because I kind of saw like what he was wearing that day. So I was like, that's not really basketball tryout. He had Crocs on. He had no Crocs might not be a good idea to try on or try out. Like, I think if I would not have brought him shoes, I legit think he would have tried out for basketball wearing his Crocs.
And maybe he would have done great.
Maybe that was a key. I don't know. Maybe that would have been the deciding factor. I don't know. So anyway, we're eagerly awaiting that. If he makes it, cool. If he doesn't, that's fine too. But what a goober. Like the morning of 10:30. I was like, dude, you can't just do this to me.
Well, he was ready to snap them babies up in sports mode. And
he was just going to flip it over and take the goblet or what are they? No, the giblet. That's what they're called. The little charms off, take it off. He's ready to roll. Like, what would you do if you showed up and you saw a kid? Like, let's say you're filming and you show up and you see a kid who's wearing Crocs. I'd be like, what in the world are you doing? What?
What are those?
Yeah, what are those? Sports mode. Anyway. Also, I don't know if you knew this, but it's Family Engagement Month for November.
Yeah, I did see a calendar. Right?
Yeah, Nora Pacina sent out a calendar about that. So that I thought was kind of cool. Like, I love any time where I can engage with the kids or with whatever. And so that is actually on our website if y'all are interested. Like, they had some really cool days, like on Election Day, just talking to your kids, what is Election Day? Or like, couple days ago, I think it was, what are 2 good things that happened? So if you need stuff to do with your family or you're like, my teenager's not talking to me, I suggest you look at that and kind of.
Yeah, and it's great. It's a good conversation starter, especially like if y'all don't have that relationship and you want it. That's a good thing to kind of practice.
Yeah, because I feel like we were talking about this the other day in a meeting. I feel like our kids are just so glued to their devices. And even as adults, I feel like we've kind of gotten that way, you know? So anyway, but I didn't know it was Family Engagement Month. So
I had no idea.
There you go.
We'll be looking at it for sure and see what we can do.
Perfect. And I'll link the calendar in the description as well if you just can't find it. But if you go to our website, it's out there.
It's in the news section of our website.
Correct.
The Hereford ISD website.
Yeah, the news part of it. So awesome.
Go check it out.
All right. Is there anything else?
No.
Cool. Okay. So Adam, what's the new scoop?
New scoop. So the new scoop is we've got a new technology tech schedule that is rolling out. Actually, I think by the time you guys watch this, it's already out.
Yeah.
So we've discovered that we need to be more efficient with how we text her out at campuses.
Correct.
And we figured we kind of found out something that might work better than what we had.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
In other
and
words,
that's one of the things I love about our department is, and I don't know if it's just because it's technology or I don't know, whatever it is, but if something doesn't work, we're going to think of something else to get it to work a little bit better for people.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, like, you know, sometimes, like we talked about this episodes ago, about just being complacent and just staying there because that's what we've always done. Yeah. And so this is something kind of new that we're going to try, and we'll see how it goes. So
yeah, we figured we'd be more efficient working on work orders as a team, or as they come up, instead of just sitting at a campus.
Right.
Once you figure out and you've done all the work orders at that campus, you're just kind of hanging out.
Right.
And in order to be more efficient, to get to you guys faster, to cut down on work orders,
correct,
speed that process up, we figured we'd change that up a little bit.
Right. So. And one of the biggest things we want you guys to also realize is, so like all the techs are going to be on the campus at the same time. So if you, and I used to be so bad at this. Okay. I would be like, oh, they're here. Let me go find them. Hey, did you know that my da-da-da-da-da isn't working? We can't do that. Yeah. It has to have a work order in order for them to, and it's even fine if you're like, oh, shoot, they're on campus today. If you put the work order in right then, because it's almost automatic when the work order comes through, that's fine. It's just you have to have a work order. And I was so bad at being like, hey, Adam, my printer isn't working and it's printing blocks.
Yep.
And you always would, because that's just your personality. You would be like, okay, and come in and help. But if it does not have a work order, it won't. So like, just take the 2 seconds to do that. Yep. And also on the work order, I have noticed this. Guys, our IT is another tab. There's been several of us who've been putting it in under maintenance. So, and I know they're like automatically deleting them. So just make sure you're in the right spot when you put that work order in. But you'll see all the techs on campuses, which is going to be different. Yeah. So,
and going back to them putting in a work order. So the reason why we do that is because there could be a teacher that's been waiting 3 or 4 days for a work order. And then you come in and you're like, hey, I need you. That's going to take up some time from getting that other teacher. So it's kind of like you hate to say it this way, but kind of like a first come, first serve type of deal, because they've been waiting for it.
Right.
And it's not fair to that teacher that's been waiting for a couple of days or whatever the case may be. And then you just come and pull a tech. And anyways.
And also it's for documentation.
Yeah. When Dana comes or our supervisors, and they come and ask you, hey, what have you been doing with your time? Well, you can't just tell them, hey, I went and did this. You have to have documentation. Right. Hey, look, here's a work order where this person put it in, and this is what I've been doing. So.
And on the flip side, if we get 1 million work orders for a certain kind of, I'm going to use printer because I feel like that's what we get a lot of work orders on. But like if we have a malfunction of like 25 printers, then that's a clue of maybe we shouldn't order that printer anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not really a malfunction. A lot of it is connectivity. I've lost connectivity. I lost my IP address. That's not a bad thing. But with the documentation, we can tell, oh, hey, or like on certain Chromebooks, like this wasn't a great brand of Chromebooks. Let's order another one on the next refresh. So that's the purpose of, not the purpose, but another purpose of work orders.
Yeah.
So.
For example, we've had trouble with HP printers. And I think it was a way of installing them and something that HP's rolled out on these devices. So, we noticed it this year, and it had never been this had never been an issue. But we've discovered something because of all the technology orders that were coming in. We're like, hey, something's up.
We're like, these are good printers.
And kudos to Irene. Her and HP got it figured out.
Yeah, so they did. They became besties. Her and support.
Yeah.
That's like me and Aristotle. We besties.
Oh, man.
I'm like, when I see him at TCA, he's all, hey, Tessa.
You tell him, hey, you're taking me out to dinner.
Yeah, what event are you doing this week? Because I need to be there.
The whole Hereford team's coming.
So
we're all
anyway,
coming.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think that's a good information just to get out, because it's not normal that we see all 5 of them on a campus at one time.
Yeah.
So.
But the good thing is that they'll knock them out. That it'll be a quick deal, and we'll get caught up on work orders. You guys will benefit. We'll all benefit at it.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah,
the whole district.
And thanks for being patient. I mean, it's been
I know
a process.
it's been annoying. Yeah.
But we're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah.
I agree with that. All right, so let's move on to command. Control. No, what is it?
Control.
Command Control S. Why did I just lose that? I did it last week.
Because now we got 3 devices you got to worry about. It's the Mac, it's the Windows, and then
Chromebooks.
So the good thing about Chromebooks is it's pretty similar to
Windows.
Yeah.
Cool. Are they the same? They're not this, because they don't run on the same operating system, do they?
So Chromebooks run on Android, which is
Gotcha.
mobile, and Windows, of course, is an operating system, but they're really similar as far as the way they're
shortcuts and the way they run.
The keyboard's built and all that good stuff.
All right, so Command Control S. So I don't know if you guys ever do this, but like sometimes when I'm in a tab, like I'm on a website or a tab or whatever, I accidentally click the X button instead of just actually clicking the tab next to it. And I'm like, oh no. Well, there's a shortcut for that. On a Mac, if you do Shift Command T, it will bring that tab back up for you. And it also works on Windows and Chromebooks. Like I remember my little babies in 4th grade to be like, Miss, I lost my page. And I'd be like, Shift Control T, and it pulls it back up. Now you have to do it within a certain time frame. So like if it happens like right then, that's a great time to do it. 5 seconds, that's a great time, but you can't do it like 30 seconds. If you do it like a minute later and you're like, oh shoot, I really needed that tab back open, it will open a tab. It just won't be the one that you were on. It will just bring up a brand new tab. So this is something that needs to happen like almost immediately after like you do it and you're like, and then if you do that shortcut, then it'll pull it back up. Yeah. And it'll have it right where you were. So that's good.
That's great information.
Yeah.
I could use it. I mean, I didn't know about it, but there's been plenty of times where I'm like, dude, why did I do that?
Right. Yeah.
And then you have to go into your history, open up, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And so I don't know if you're like this, but we have a lot of, I have different profiles. So like I have my profile and then I have our HerdU profile. And sometimes I'm copying between the two and then I accidentally click that tab. I'm like, oh, I needed that tab. And so that's when I use that. But, and it's also really good to pass on to your students.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah.
Happens all the time.
All the time. Freaking X out of the tabs.
But the X is just, it kind of blends in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I mean, it's the X, but it's not a defining box. So it's so easy to happen. I do it all the time. I mean, I'm telling you, I do
all the time. All the time. So anyway, but that's a little tip for you guys today.
Good.
All right. Adam, I don't really have anything else.
It's just, look, the time that we're in, like time is just flying by.
It's zooming. Right? Like slow down a little. All right.
Wow, that's crazy.
So let's end it this way. What are you loving?
Just the season. I think a lot of it comes to when we started the show is being grateful. And I think we have a lot to be grateful for, but just the season kind of is all tying in. You can start seeing a lot of the, I don't know, Thanksgiving feel-ish stuff. And that kind of reminds me of just being thankful, you know, for what you got, for what you... Perfect. Anyways, what you got going on?
Speaking of Thanksgiving, I'm pretty excited about, we're going to do a Thanksgiving podcast to send out on Thanksgiving week. And I bought a sweater for it. James was like, what? I was like, I'll wear it on Thanksgiving too, I promise. Yeah. So anyway.
I think I'm going to bring in Tom. We have a turkey that we set up outside the house. It's an inflatable deal. I think I'll bring in Tom.
You
Tom
should.
The turkey. I'll set him up in here.
How big is it?
It's pretty tall. I mean, it's not huge, but it'll probably go up a little bit.
Yes, let's do that.
We'll put Tom the turkey. We call him Tom. Anastasia named it. And it's Tom the turkey.
Perfect. Yeah. I think we should do that.
I might make a guest appearance.
I like that.
On the pod.
Big purr. Okay, so this is what I'm loving. Last weekend, well, it wasn't just me. It was James and I. We went to a marriage conference. And it was unbelievable. Like we've had this conversation before. I feel like marriages are under attack. And I think like there are some instances where you've got to get out of that. Right. But I think a lot of times we're just like, it's too hard. Let's give up, you know? Yeah. Or, there's just a lot of things that go on with that. And so just being able to have time to invest in our marriage and who we are. Cause like we got married at 19, we were babies. Yeah. I mean, everybody around us were like, y'all are crazy, but I loved him and I knew like, this was my guy. And so after 22 years, you kind of forget about each other sometimes, you know, like the hustle and bustle of kids and work. And, you know, he works in Amarillo, so he's gone a lot. And it's just, so I have just been looking at our marriage through a new lens, if you will. And just, I mean, there was deep conversations that have never happened before. Just the prayer, and I mean, I don't know. So that's what I'm loving.
That's great.
I hope everybody gets a chance to do that and just invest in the person you're with.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's good.
that's
good
what I'm loving. So anyways,
It's good information.
Yeah. All right. Well, Adam, that's all I have.
That's it.
Another great week.
Another
Let's go
good week.
rock next week.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for my Thanksgiving sweater.
It's going to be a fun episode.
It will be. Yeah, it won't be like normal like this, but
It'll still be
we might not even talk tech. I don't know. We'll
never
figure
know.
that out. So anyway. All right, guys. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And we hope you have the best week ever. So we'll see y'all later. Bye, guys.